Nigh.
Usually when we think about apocalyptic threats, there is this expectation of obvious devastation, like a disaster movie.
Oh, absolutely.
You see the giant meteor heading for Earth or some terrifying monster rising out of the ocean, and everyone instantly knows, okay, that is the bad guy. Run.
Right. It's the comfort of binary thinking. We want our villains to wear dark capes or look like literal monsters so we can, easily categorize the threat.
Yeah.
Visible enemies are, paradoxically, just easier to deal with because you know exactly what you are fighting.
But then you step into the world of biblical prophecy and apocalyptic literature, and suddenly that clear picture is just completely shattered.
Completely.
We are looking at a landscape of deception that is honestly chilling because it is so incredibly subtle. Welcome to this deep dive. Today we have a fascinating and, profoundly unsettling text in front of us.
We do.
Our source material is an analytical breakdown of Revelation chapter 13.
And our mission for you, the listener, is to deconstruct this highly symbolic figure known as the false prophet, or the beast from the earth.
Right.
We are going to map out his rise to power, decode some truly bizarre imagery, and really try to understand the psychology behind his global deception. I mean, it is a masterclass in psychological warfare and manipulation.
It really is. But before we jump into the mechanics of this, I do want to set the parameters for how we are approaching the material today.
Always a good idea.
Because our source document deals directly with religious scripture and prophecy, we are tackling this deep dive strictly as an impartial analysis of the text provided.
Exactly.
And the ultimate irony of this text, the hook that grabbed me immediately anyway, is that the most dangerous threat to the world in this narrative isn't a terrifying, raging monster at all.
No, not at all.
It's a gentle-looking leader promising an end to your suffering, if you just follow his rules.
The classic trap. It's the promise of global peace at the cost of total surrender.
So let's start with the origins of these antagonists. The analysis sets up this really stark contrast between two figures, the Antichrist and the false prophet.
The demonic duo, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Both are controlled by Satan, both have demonic origins, but they have completely different domains and totally different approaches to power.
Right.
The text gives us the first beast, the Antichrist, who emerges from the sea, and then the second beast, the false prophet, who comes up out of the earth.
And that geographic distinction is crucial to understanding their roles. In ancient Near Eastern literature, the sea was viewed as chaotic, turbulent, and deeply terrifying.
It was the abyss.
Exactly. It represents massive, sweeping, violent conquest. The earth, on the other hand, was considered stable. It was known, it was familiar, and traditionally viewed as much less dangerous than the unpredictable sea.
And the text notes that the Antichrist, the sea beast, is a political and military leader. He has 10 horns and this aura of savage ferocity. He is the disaster movie monster we talked about.
He is.
But the false prophet, emerging from the fiery depths of the earth, only has 2 horns. So the text is signaling to the reader right away that the false prophet intentionally appears less dangerous.
Right, he lacks that raw, terrifying 10-horn power.
But let me process this for a second. If Satan is orchestrating both of these figures to take over the world, why not make them both terrifying military conquerors? I mean, why intentionally design the second beast to look weaker and less authoritative?
Well, think about the limitations of sheer force. The sea beast can conquer a population physically. It can force compliance through fear and violence.
Right, yeah.
But true dominion, the kind of total unquestioning control this text describes, that requires winning hearts and minds.
Yeah.
You cannot bomb a population into truly loving you or sincerely worshiping you.
Wait, so the implication is that violent conquest actually has a shelf life. Like, you can hold people down with the sea beast's military, but eventually they push back or wait for a chance to rebel?
Precisely. The false prophet is engineered to solve that exact problem. He is a subtle, persuasive beast.
Oh, interesting.
If the Antichrist is the CEO of this new global empire holding the military power, the false prophet is his chief marketing officer. Instead of a violent threat, the CMO uses religion, charm, and persuasion to seduce the world.
Wow.
He makes the earth willingly choose to worship the first beast. It is the transition from physical tyranny to psychological and spiritual surrender.
Which brings us to his physical description in the text, which serves as the ultimate deceptive disguise. The source describes this beast as a wild animal disguised as a lamb. He has 2 horns, like a lamb. And this peaceful appearance is a deliberate imitation of Christ. The text specifically references John 1.29 to mark him as a spiritual leader.
He is literally the embodiment of the wolf in sheep's clothing that Christ warns about in Matthew 7:15.
Right.
I mean, a lamb is harmless, a lamb is innocent. In the biblical context, it is the ultimate symbol of sacrifice and purity.
Yeah.
By adopting this specific disguise, the false prophet instantly disarms the public's natural defenses. He doesn't look like an oppressive dictator. He looks like a gentle guru or a compassionate spiritual guide.
But the text adds this chilling detail. It says, despite his gentle, lamb-like appearance, he spoke as a dragon.
Meaning he acts as Satan's mouthpiece.
Right. But here's where I struggle with the imagery, though. If a guy in a nice, comforting sweater gets up on a global broadcast and starts roaring fire and brimstone like a dragon, the disguise falls apart instantly.
It totally would.
So how does the text reconcile a demonic voice with a peaceful, lamb-like charm?
Well, it is a brilliant piece of psychological manipulation. The dragon's voice isn't a literal, audible monster roar. It refers to the source and the intent of his words.
Oh, okay.
He is speaking the dragon's lies, but he is delivering them with lamb-like cadence. The source explicitly states his speech consists of soft, gentle, reassuring words.
So the dragon's voice is actually the message of rebellion against God, just wrapped in the comforting tone of a self-help seminar.
That is the terror of it, yeah. He is luring the world to worship the Antichrist, not screaming at them to do it under threat of death, at least not initially.
Right.
It is demonic propaganda delivered with absolute charm. And we have to remember the context Christ gives in the book of Matthew, specifically Matthew 24:24, which the text highlights.
What does that say?
That these false prophets will rise up and perform great signs and wonders so immense that they could deceive, if possible, even God's chosen.
The deception is airtight. It's the smiling news anchor or the charismatic influencer telling you exactly what you want to hear. And this leads us to how he actually engineers this global cult. He doesn't just talk. He puts on a massive, undeniable show.
It does.
The false prophet operates directly in the presence of the Antichrist, using his power to establish an imperial religion. The cult of the Antichrist over this revived Roman Empire, which the text refers to as Babylon.
He becomes the high priest of a new world order.
Yeah.
And the focal point of this cult, the bedrock of his marketing campaign, is a specific miracle.
Right.
The text notes that he makes the earth worship the first beast by focusing heavily on the fact that the first beast's fatal wound was healed.
This is such a crucial detail. The Antichrist suffers a fatal wound, an assassination attempt essentially, but then appears to be healed or resurrected.
Yeah.
This fake death and subsequent resurrection is a direct, mocking imitation of Christ's resurrection. It's designed to gather immense power by proving his supposed divinity.
And the source compares this to historical legends, specifically the Roman Emperor Nero, who reigned from 54 to 68 AD.
Oh, right, the Nero myth.
Yes. There was a widespread, stubborn myth after Nero's death that he hadn't really died, or that he would magically return to life to retake his throne and conquer his enemies.
Let me wrap my head around this, though. Why use a faked assassination and resurrection as the core of your global propaganda? I mean, why not just claim you are invincible from the start?
Because conquering death is the ultimate trump card. It targets the deepest innate human fear, which is our own mortality.
Right, yeah.
If a leader can demonstrably beat death, the public logic goes, well, he must be a god. The false prophet leverages that profound human awe. He points to the resurrected Antichrist and offers the world a terrible bargain.
The promise to end the suffering.
Exactly. He promises an end to all their suffering, but the price of that peace is absolute worship.
Think about how vulnerable you or anyone else would be during a time of massive global crisis, war, or famine.
Oh, incredibly vulnerable.
If a gentle, lamb-like leader showed up backed by a guy who seemingly rose from the dead, and this leader said, I can end all your pain, I can stop the wars, just bow down. It is fundamentally about the weaponization of hope.
It is. Deception on a global scale rarely works by offering people something they hate. It works by identifying their most desperate desires, peace, security, and end to chaos, and offering it to them with a poison pill hidden inside.
Oh.
He seduces the world by giving them exactly what they want.
But this isn't a victimless deception. The source points out that this imperial cult brings the Antichrist and the false prophet into direct, brutal conflict with those who recognize the genuine article.
Yes.
Jews and Christians who know the actual Messiah and who see through the fatal wound parlor trick, they refuse to bow down. And this creates a massive societal fracture.
Which forces the false prophet to escalate his methods. Charm and a single faked resurrection will only get you so far. He has to maintain the momentum and enforce total social conformity.
And he backs it up with undeniable visual proof. The text says he performs supernatural signs, including calling fire down from heaven to the earth right in the presence of men.
Which is huge.
That is a massive flex of power. But hold on, I'm stuck on something here. If this guy is literally calling down fire from the sky, why isn't that just proof that he's legit?
Well,
I mean, if I saw a man point to the sky and summon a column of fire, I'd probably fall for it too. How are people supposed to know the difference between a demonic trick and a real miracle?
that is exactly why the deception is so dangerous. It creates profound cognitive dissonance. Bringing fire down from heaven is a highly specific challenge.
Oh, so?
In the biblical narrative, fire from heaven is the historical hallmark of God's true prophets. Consider the story of Elijah on Mount Carmel, who called down fire to prove God's supremacy over the false prophets of Baal.
Oh, wow. So by replicating this specific miracle, the false prophet is committing theological identity theft.
That is a perfect way to phrase it.
Yeah.
He is stealing the historical branding of a true prophet to sell a lie.
Right.
He's telling the masses, see, I have the same power as the ancient prophets you read about. Therefore, my message that the Antichrist is God must be true. He overwhelms their senses so they stop asking logical questions about his doctrine.
But the text is fiercely clear on the consequences of falling for this identity theft. It states that anyone who worships the beast will face the unadulterated wrath of God, citing Revelation chapters 14 and 16.
Yeah, the stakes for getting this wrong are eternal.
And this leads us to the climax of this cult's growth. The false prophet isn't satisfied with just performing tricks. He needs a permanent mechanism of control.
He does.
He issues an order to the people of Earth to build an image of the Antichrist. They have to physically construct their own idol.
And this is the establishment of the abomination of desolation that Christ warned about in Matthew 24.
Right.
And the text points out that this has a profound, traumatizing historical precedent. It echoes the events of 167 BC.
The desecration of the temple in Jerusalem by Antiochus Epiphanes. Let's dig into why that is so significant. Antiochus wasn't just a conqueror.
No, he was a Hellenistic king who tried to systematically wipe out the Jewish religion and culture entirely.
Right.
He marched into the most sacred space on earth for the Jewish people. The temple in Jerusalem erected an altar to the Greek god Zeus and sacrificed pigs on it.
It was the ultimate defilement. It wasn't just a political defeat. It was a spiritual nightmare meant to completely break the identity of the people.
Exactly. It sparked the Maccabean Revolt, which was one of the bloodiest wars in Israel's history.
So by referencing this abomination of desolation, the text is signaling a repeat of that trauma, but on a global scale.
Yes.
This image of the Antichrist, which is mentioned 6 times in Revelation, becomes the absolute center of this apostate church. The false prophet becomes the leader of this system, forcing everyone to worship the idol. But he doesn't just build a silent statue.
No, he animates it. The text says the false prophet makes the image breathe and speak, giving it the appearance of life.
And here is where the source document throws a truly fascinating curveball. It suggests that this might not actually be a supernatural demonic event at all.
I love this part.
It might be a technological trick. The text literally states it may be no more than a robot.
Which opens up a really compelling discussion about how we define miracles, especially in antiquity versus the modern era or the future. The source points to historical archaeological digs in Greece as proof of concept.
Ancient stagecraft. The text explains that pagan priests used ventriloquism and hidden architecture to make their idols talk.
Yeah.
They hollowed out statues and dug secret tunnels under the altars so priests could physically hide inside. They would speak for the gods, tricking the worshippers into believing the statue was genuinely alive and delivering divine mandates.
The priests were essentially running a massive Wizard of Oz operation. They manipulated the physical environment to manufacture a divine, terrifying experience.
Think about the sheer theatricality of this. Whether we are talking about a literal supernatural breathing statue possessed by a demon, or an ancient animatronic used to trick the masses, or maybe something even more advanced, the psychological impact is identical.
The mechanism of the trick doesn't matter.
Okay.
The outcome does. It is a system perfectly designed to manufacture awe and ensure total, unquestioning obedience.
Right.
If you can make a statue speak or appear to breathe, You completely bypass a person's critical thinking. You hit them right in their sense of wonder and their primal fear.
It reminds me of Arthur C. Clarke's famous law, Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Oh, absolutely.
If the false prophet rolls out some incredibly advanced AI-driven biosynthetic robotic image of the Antichrist, well, to the average person enduring a global crisis, it is a god breathing. It's undeniable proof.
And that is the terrifying genius of the Earth Beast.
Yeah.
He uses the people's own labor, ordering them to build the image, and then he uses technology or dark magic to bring it to life, cementing their own enslavement.
Wow.
They end up worshiping the work of their own hands, manipulated by a leader they implicitly trust because he looks like a harmless lamb.
And this all circles back to how the cult enforces day-to-day social conformity. If everyone around you believes the breathing image is a god, and you refuse to bow down because you know it's a trick or an abomination, you become the enemy of the state.
Yeah.
You are exiled from the very society the false prophet has built.
It is a masterclass in misdirection and systemic control. The threat you don't see coming because it looks exactly like salvation.
Let's pull all of these threads together. We have gone on quite a journey through this analytical text.
We really have.
We started with the sheer contrast of the demonic duo, the brutal, terrifying Antichrist rising from the chaotic sea, paired with the false prophet, the Earth Beast, who looks entirely stable and non-threatening.
He is the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, wearing the two horns of a lamb to imitate Christ, but speaking with the intent and deception of a dragon.
He engineers a global cult by weaponizing the public's hope, using the faked death and resurrection of the Antichrist, echoing the ancient Nero myth to demand worship in exchange for peace.
Right.
He calls down fire from heaven to mimic the true prophets of God, stealing their theological identity.
And finally, he forces the creation of an idol, an abomination of desolation, using spectacular parlor tricks, ancient ventriloquism, or perhaps highly advanced robotics to make the image breathe and speak. It is an all-encompassing net of psychological and spiritual deception.
It is a heavy, dark text, but it serves as a profound meditation on the nature of truth, the allure of authority, and how easily human beings can be swayed by the promise of safety and the spectacle of power.
It really does.
Which leaves you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over today.
A question of modern relevance.
Exactly. The text we examine warns of a deceptive leader using a breathing, speaking image to manipulate the masses into unquestioning worship. It might have sounded like ancient magic or Greek ventriloquism when it was written.
Sure.
But think about our world right now. In our modern reality, deepfakes, artificial intelligence, and algorithmic manipulation can already perfectly mimic reality.
Yeah, we see it every day.
We have screens that can speak to us with comforting, customized voices that know exactly what we want to hear. If the ultimate deception comes wrapped in a familiar, comforting package, well, how confident are you that you could spot the wolf hiding in sheep's clothing today?
That is a question that only gets harder to answer as our technology evolves.
It really does. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the text. Keep analyzing the narratives around you, and most importantly, always keep questioning the sources of your information. Catch you next time.
Nye.